Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor at Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We're reading through the Bible with commentary. We're in the book of Proverbs and we're up to chapter 22. And about part of the way through chapter 22, it says that there are 30 sayings of admonition, but that isn't until I think it runs well into chapter 23. So that'll be the first part of that wisdom. But first, we still have more Proverbs. Chapter 22, verse 1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. So more important to have a good name than to be rich, which is good for me because I'm definitely not rich. But I don't know if I have a good name. I hope so. Verse 2. The rich and the poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. So if in doubt, don't forget, God made everybody, even those annoying people that you have a hard time with. Verse 3, the clever see danger and hide, but the simple go on and suffer for it. So if you're wise and clever, you pay attention and see danger coming. Verse 4, the reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. And of course, it's, again, not transactional. You don't put in the quarter and get the blessing. But generally speaking, when people have humility and fear the Lord, then they do also end up with riches, honor, and life. Verse 5, thorns and snares are the way of the perverse. The cautious will keep far from them. Verse 6, train children in the right way, and when old, they will not stray. I wonder if it rhymed in the original. I have heard this translated as train up a child in the way it should go, and when it is old, it will not depart from it. This is train children in the right way, and when old, they will not stray. Of course, we all know that it's very difficult because children are their own people and they make their own choices. And sometimes our children make choices that we do not think are very good choices. And there, again, there's not a guarantee. We can do all the right things, and sometimes our kids make all the wrong choices, and it's heartbreaking. That said, I think there is a certain amount of, when we take the effort and the time to train our children, to give them teaching and discipline and tell them things, they are far more likely to become responsible adults if we take that time to teach them and show them things when they are younger. And it takes a lot of effort. And I've also heard it said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think there's some truth to it as well. We show our kids how they should live, and then when they're kind of young adults, they don't live that way. But then they get older and they kind of revert to what we taught them. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I think there's a lot of potential truth to that sometimes kids have their rebellious time, or young adults have their rebellious stretch, but then eventually they kind of settle into the adults that they're going to become, and potentially the way that we've trained them. I hope. Certainly that was the case for me. Let's put it that way. Verse 7, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Good argument for not getting into debt, because the borrower is a slave to the lender. You have to work and pay off the debt, and you have to pay interest, and you can't be building your own values because you're having to build up somebody else's. Verse 8, whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of anger will fail. Verse 9, those who are generous are blessed, for they share their bread with the poor. So to be generous is to be blessed, and I would have to say I agree with that. That both when I've been generous and what I feel that I've been blessed because of that, and when I've seen other people who are generous and how they are blessed, and I think there's a lot of truth that those that are generous are blessed. Verse 10, drive out a scoffer and strife goes out. Quarreling and abuse will cease. So I tend to be very hard on slackers. The scriptures, the Proverbs have been very hard on scoffers. Don't be a scoffer. Verse 11, those who love a pure heart and are gracious in speech will have the king as a friend. Verse 12, the eyes of the Lord keep watch over knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the faithless. Oh, we have another lazy one. Verse 13, the lazy person says, there's a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets. I wish this was a proverb more in common use. Just today, somebody was telling me about how this person was like, oh, I can't go get another job. AI is taking away all the jobs. I'm like, yeah, I don't buy that necessarily either. Yes, AI is taking jobs, and yes, the job market is changing all the time, but there's also still lots of different ways that people can get jobs and work. The lazy person says, but there's a lion outside, I'll get killed in the streets. It's just an excuse. I can't go out and get a job. It's not because of the lion, it's because that person's lazy. Verse 14, the mouth of a loose woman is a deep pit. And I have a footnote that the loose woman, also we had said this in a previous session, but this Bible has translated as loose woman, because also known as strange woman. And I kind of prefer strange woman, the idea that somebody who is a stranger, not part of your relationship, coming in between you and the person that you are in a relationship with, that's bringing a stranger in, and I think that is very dangerous to any relationship. So I love the idea of using it as the strange woman rather than the loose woman, but I understand that they're basically saying the loose woman who's looking to have sex and to destroy a relationship. The mouth of a loose woman is a deep pit. He with whom the Lord is angry falls into it. Verse 15, folly is bound up in the heart of a boy, but the rod of discipline drives it far away. It is certainly true that children are full of folly and silliness and goofiness, and they do occasionally need to be disciplined. That does not mean they need to be beaten and abused, but it does mean that boundaries have to be set for our children. Verse 16, oppressing the poor in order to enrich oneself is giving to the rich, and giving to the rich will lead only to loss. So if you oppress the poor and give to the rich, you're going to end up worse off, is what this proverb promises. And sometimes we wish they were more true more quickly. Verse 17, the words of the wise. Incline your ear and hear my words, and apply your mind to my teaching. For it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips. Verse 19, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have made them known to you today, yes, to you. 20, have I not written for you 30 sayings of admonition and knowledge? 21, to show you what is right and true, so that you may give a true answer to those who sent you. So we're words to the wise, and there's going to be 30 of them, but there's only about 7 or 8 more verses in this chapter. So obviously those 30 words to the wise will continue in our next session. Verse 22, do not rob the poor because they are poor, or crush the afflicted at the gate. For the Lord pleads their cause and despoils of life those who despoil them. So don't be hurting the poor because they're poor, because the Lord is going to be the one who defends them and comes after you. Verse 24, make no friends with those given to anger, and do not associate with hotheads, or you may learn their ways and entangle yourself in a snare. So far, 2 for 2, there's actually 2 verses, not just 1 verse for these 2 things. But don't be friends with somebody who is angry or a hothead, because you might learn their ways. And it is very true that we become like the people we hang out with. And who do you hang out with? And sometimes we don't have much control over who we hang out with, but other times we have the ability to make a choice and say, I don't think I'm going to hang out with that person anymore. Verse 26, do not be one of those who give pledges who becomes surety for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? So we've said in a previous session, if you guarantee a loan for someone, you're basically putting up the collateral so that they can borrow money. And Proverbs is pretty dim view of somebody doing that to put up security for somebody else. They find to be a very foolish idea. And here, the saying, don't do that, because why should your bed be taken away from you? So what do you put up for collateral? Your bed that you sleep on, or your cloak that you wear. Verse 28, do not remove the ancient landmark that your ancestors set up. So basic, simple, there's boundary markers, don't move them. Do you see those who are skillful in their work? They will serve kings. They will not serve common people. So many years ago, belonged to a group of churches, and they wanted us to memorize that verse because I was very young, and they were trying to encourage all the young people to be skillful in their work. Do you see those who are skillful in their work? They will serve kings. They will not serve common people. So their argument from this group of churches was, you should work hard and be skillful in your work, and then you will serve kings. You will be in serving management. You'll be elevated, you'll be in a better place, and you'll have a better reputation for us as a group of Christians. Again, Proverbs is not a transactional guarantee. If you are super skillful, then you automatically are going to be serving kings and working with higher people. You're far more likely to end up serving high up people, but there's no guarantee that you for sure will. But I do think when somebody is skillful, we appreciate it and we talk about it. I know somebody who hired a painter, and the painter is somebody that has a billboard advertising that, hey, I'm a painter, come, hire me to paint. And I was very surprised that this person had hired this painter, and I was like, oh, you hired that painter? They're like, yeah, I saw the billboards. I'm like, whenever I saw the billboards, I assume that they're not a very good painter, because if you're a good painter, you don't need to advertise. And I have a person that's worked on my house. We've now lived here for 20 years, so I met him 20 years ago, and he did siding, insulation, windows, gutters. I think he did the gutters. Somebody else did the roof. And since then, I've had him come back and do some windows and things. And he told me he has never once advertised in all of the years that he's been in business, which is a lot of years. Because if you're skillful in your work, maybe you don't stand before kings, but you also don't have to advertise, because by word of mouth, people say, hey, do you know a good person to do siding? Do you know somebody who does windows? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I've got this guy who's very good, does a good job, very fair price, and maybe not super fast because he's in demand, so you have to wait your turn, but worth waiting for. And so no, he's never once had to advertise because he's always had more business than he can do. This painter guy, when I saw the advertisement, I thought, you're a painter and you have to advertise? Then you must not be a very good painter. And sure enough, this person that I met, and they hired this painter, and they said, oh, it was awful. And I said I wanted this particular brand of paint, and they color matched a different brand of paint, and they put it on really thin, and it was messy and crappy, and they just did a really bad job, like splashing it everywhere kind of thing. Just a horrible, horrible job. And took forever, charged a lot of money. It was a bad experience all the way around. So, but if you're skillful in your work, you don't even have to advertise because people know that you are there and they hire you. So I was thinking about coming up with some more modern proverbs to share each day, and I haven't actually spent a lot of time on that. Thought I had one. We do have expressions that we use that are kind of modern proverbs, but now I can't think of any at the moment. So for now, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you again next time.